The rain drizzled softly against the tall glass windows of La Montagne, the most elegant restaurant in the city. Inside, golden chandeliers shimmered like captured stars, their light dancing off the crystal glasses and polished silverware. Seated at a secluded corner table was Ethan Blackwood, a man whose name carried weight in every boardroom and newspaper headline. His charcoal gray suit was flawless, his expression calm and distant. It was supposed to be a simple evening, a blind date arranged by his friend to help him loosen up after years of burying himself in work. But the chair across from him sat empty, the candle between them flickering as if mocking the silence. Ethan checked his watch, 7:40 p.m. 15 minutes late. Normally, he wouldn't wait. People didn't keep Ethan Blackwood waiting. Yet something about the night felt oddly still, as if fate had other plans. Across the rain-slicked street, Lila Thompson was hurrying along the sidewalk, her thin jacket soaked through. She had just finished another long, disappointing day of job hunting. The little money she had left went toward bus fare and a cup of coffee hours ago. As she passed the warm glow of La Montagne's windows, she hesitated. Inside, everyone looked so calm, so content, so far removed from her world of overdue bills and cheap instant noodles. Just for a second, she wanted to feel that warmth. The hostess at the entrance noticed her lingering. "Miss, table for one?" she asked kindly. Before Lila could explain, the hostess smiled. "Right this way, your party is waiting." Confused but too flustered to correct her, Lila followed, her heart pounding as she was led to the corner where Ethan sat. Ethan looked up, surprised. The woman who sat down wasn't who he expected. Her hair was damp, her clothes simple, her eyes uncertain but sincere. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she offered a nervous smile and whispered, "I'm sorry I'm late." Something inside him softened. He didn't correct her or ask questions. Instead, he returned her smile, small, genuine, unexpected. "You're right on time," he said quietly. And though neither of them knew it, that one small mistake, the poor girl's accidental seat, would change both of their lives forever. Lila sat nervously across from Ethan, trying to ignore the elegant glow of the restaurant and the curious looks from nearby diners. Everything around her screamed luxury, the soft music, the flicker of candlelight, the scent of expensive wine, but she felt painfully out of place. She had never eaten anywhere like this before. Her fingers twisted the edge of her damp jacket as she tried to think of what to say. Ethan, on the other hand, seemed oddly calm. He watched her with quiet amusement, noticing the way she kept glancing at the silverware like it might bite. Her stomach gave a small growl that echoed embarrassingly loud in the silence. Her cheeks burned red. I'm sorry," she stammered, wishing she could disappear. But instead of mocking her, Ethan chuckled, a low, warm sound that surprised even him. "You're hungry," he said simply, signaling the waiter. "Let's fix that." Before she could protest, dishes began arriving one after another, warm bread, creamy soup, delicate pasta that smelled heavenly. Lila hesitated, then took a small bite, and for the first time that day, she smiled. Between shy bites, she found herself talking. She told Ethan about losing her father 2 years ago, about struggling to pay rent, about the string of rejected job applications that had left her nearly hopeless. She didn't know why she was telling him all this, maybe it was because he actually listened, his eyes steady and kind. Ethan rarely opened up to anyone, but something about her honesty disarmed him. He found himself sharing things he never said aloud, the loneliness of success, the emptiness of people who only wanted his money or reputation. For the first time in years, he wasn't Ethan Blackwood the CEO. He was just Ethan. Just as dessert arrived, a tall woman in a red dress approached their table. "Ethan?" she asked sharply, her voice filled with disbelief. His face stiffened. "You're having dinner, without me?" she demanded. Lila's eyes widened. The woman's gaze turned cold as she looked Lila up and down before storming out. Ethan sighed deeply. "That," he said, "was my actual blind date. Lila froze. "Oh my God. I thought you were someone else," she whispered, mortified. She stood up to leave, but Ethan's hand gently caught hers. His voice softened. "Then maybe this mistake was meant to happen." And against all reason, Lila sat back down, her heart racing faster than ever. The days that followed their unexpected dinner blurred into something magical for Lila. She couldn't stop thinking about Ethan, his quiet laughter, the way he listened, the calm steadiness in his voice. Against her better judgment, she found herself answering his messages, meeting him for coffee, and walking with him through the park on her way home from work. He was always the same, gentle, curious, never showing off or talking about money. To her, he seemed like an ordinary man with an extraordinary heart. And yet, there was something mysterious about him. His car was sleek but unmarked, his watch expensive though he never mentioned it, and whenever his phone rang, he'd step aside to take the call in hushed tones. Lila didn't pry. For the first time in her life, someone cared for her without asking for anything in return, and she wasn't about to ruin it by asking questions. For Ethan, each passing day with Lila stripped away the cold armor he'd built around himself. Her sincerity reminded him of everything he had forgotten, the beauty of small joys, the warmth of shared laughter, the feeling of belonging. He found himself sneaking out of board meetings just to see her smile. When she mentioned her dream of owning a flower shop, he quietly arranged to help her get a part-time job at one, pretending it was the owner's idea. Watching her light up at the opportunity made him feel more human than all his millions ever had. But every time he looked into her trusting eyes, guilt gnawed at him. She didn't know who he truly was. Ethan Blackwood CEO of Blackwood Enterprises, one of the wealthiest men in the city. He had hidden his last name, terrified she would treat him like everyone else once she found out. The truth, however, found its own way out. One afternoon, Lila arrived at a downtown skyscraper to deliver flowers from her shop. As she entered the top-floor conference room, her heart stopped. There he was, standing at the head of a long glass table, surrounded by executives. The massive screen behind him read, Blackwood Enterprises Annual Summit. Ethan looked up mid-presentation and froze when he saw her at the door, her bouquet trembling in her hands. Her face fell as realization struck. Without a word, she turned and walked away, leaving him speechless and shattered behind the glass walls of his empire. Days turned into weeks, but the silence between Ethan and Lila lingered heavier than either of them could bear. Lila tried to convince herself that it had all been a dream, that the kind, gentle man she'd come to care for was just another illusion. Every time she saw his face on the news, shaking hands with politicians or signing million-dollar deals, she felt a twist of pain in her chest. How could she have believed someone like him would ever want someone like her? Yet beneath the heartbreak, a small voice whispered that the man she'd known at the restaurant wasn't a lie. The way he looked at her, the way he made her laugh, none of that had been fake. Still, she couldn't bring herself to face him again. She threw herself into work at the flower shop, pretending the scent of roses and lilies could mask the ache in her heart. Ethan, on the other hand, was a shadow of himself. The boardroom no longer felt like his kingdom, and the penthouse that once symbolized success now echoed with emptiness. He tried to reach her, but every message went unanswered. It wasn't until one stormy evening that he decided he couldn't wait anymore. He went to her small apartment, soaked from the rain, and found the courage to leave a note on her doorstep. It read, "The night you sat at my table, my life stopped feeling empty. You taught me how to live again. I'm sorry for not telling you the truth, but I'll be waiting at that same table, one last time. If you come, I'll never let you go again." Lila read the letter over and over, tears blurring the ink. She knew she could walk away and keep her pride, or she could listen to her heart. That night, as the rain fell just like it had the day they met, she walked back to La Montagne. Inside, the same table waited. Ethan sat there, his suit damp, his eyes filled with hope and fear. When she approached, she smiled through her tears. "Sorry I'm late," she whispered. Ethan rose instantly, disbelief softening into pure joy. "You're right on time," he murmured. And as he pulled her into his arms, the storm outside faded, leaving only warmth, and the quiet promise of love that had finally found its home.